was just a dream, just a moment ago. I was up so high, looking down at the sky. Don't let me fall. I was shooting for stars on a Saturday night. They say what goes up must come down, but don't let me fall.
And I also want to point out that that's not easy, particularly in the context, ironically, of our work, right? Because I would think in the context of our work, working with students and bringing education, and I think thinking about student-centered education, we think about how do you bring the whole student? My question is, how do you bring the whole teacher, right? How do you bring the whole person into the work you're doing? And that, to me, yes, is a function of leadership, but it's actually really hard because that's actually not what we are anywhere from assessed to, asked to do as often as we're asked to do other things. So I want to put that out there as something that I know it's difficult, and I want to thank you for taking the opportunity today to tap into that, because it's not hard, not easy, it's really hard. But I want to bring us back to where we started today, which was public narrative as a leadership tool. Right? This is a tool that's used to be able to mobilize other people to action. Today we got through two pieces: the story of self, which is why do you care about what you want to mobilize people to; the story of us, which is what are the commonalities that we have that bring us together around the values that you care about, we care about. And the one we didn't get to, which was the story of now. So what do we do now? We care about it so much, what change do you want to see happen? I do hope and challenge you all to go there at some point to figure out how can you work to create a plan, a strategy for helping mobilize whoever it is that you're mobilizing to take a first step to make a change. Maybe at some point your group can get together and do that, I'm not sure how, but it is a framework to enable other people to action. With that, I'm curious to hear, how would you envision using what you've learned today in your work?
Well, I know for sure, like in the future, I ultimately want to be a politician, so that's just something that I'm going to just have to naturally be able to do. But then I also thought about, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I thought about like mobilizing my children. Because, I mean, I only have so many months left with them, and like really getting them like to just do what it is that I want them to do. So I'm thinking about a way I can kind of use this to have, I guess, maybe a real discussion and connect us in some sort of way to mobilize them. I don't know the answer to that now, but I'm going to try to do it.
But just like in the classroom, like I've found like the few times where I have like shown like authentic vulnerability to my students, like there's been like this connection and this understanding that then creates opportunities for me to really impact them. And I think that I was, you know, using the story of self without really understanding what it is. Now understanding the narrative and like actually knowing the value that I'm trying to impart, I think will make that way more powerful when I choose to do that with my students, and it'll allow me to connect and to lead them so much better.
And I'd also love to add that a skill you've also learned or set of practice today is the skill of listening to someone else's story and being able to hear the values that they bring. So, and I think about that when I think about the reciprocity behind imparting your value is also about hearing and understanding your students' values and what experiences they bring. Any other ideas or initial thoughts on how you think you may use this in your work?
Oh, okay. I was thinking, like, Max and I are looking to start a nonprofit for African American girls, and when Christina was talking about like getting people invested in her work, I was just thinking about like this is really great for being able to communicate like why it's important to different groups of people, and glad that we're both here to do that.
It's good to know that. And I was also going to say, investing my parents has been like my biggest struggle for this year, like just getting them to see a vision for their children and my vision for their children. So thinking about how to craft the way that I communicate it to them, and showing them the whole person. I don't know why I haven't done that before.
My name is Ava Goldson. I'm a 2011 Core member, and I teach first grade in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right. So, just your reactions from the weekend?
It was a fun weekend. We had a good time. We went rock climbing yesterday, and I've been living in Atlanta now 6 years, and I'm about 10 minutes from the venue where we were yesterday, and I never knew about it. So that's one thing. Like, I'm learning more about Atlanta. We had a lot of fun, and then today we were currently at a YMCA. I also didn't know it was located right here, and I'm in this area quite frequently. And we've spent a lot of time today just kind of digging a lot deeper into why we are core members and doing the work that we're doing. So today was definitely enlightening for me because I've been struggling a lot to explain why I'm in Teach for America. I think you know, a lot of us had those cliche answers during the interview process about wanting to help close the achievement gap and help make a difference, and you know, have been very aware of, you know, having the privilege of going to college and receiving an education and wanting to give back. And that was my story. But I realized today that I didn't have that piece, that event in my life that just said I need to change. I just wanted to do Teach for America because I knew it was a good, it was something good to do to give back. And so I discovered today that really that sense of urgency for me happened not until October of my first year teaching. So last year, when I realized that the issue for me wasn't just about helping these second graders that I had last year read better and write better and do math better, but it was to help them just to be people, to be better people, and I wasn't prepared for that. And I think that that's when it really set in that I had a responsibility. And so today I realized more that what I want to do is, while teaching has really, you know, helped me to grow and to learn about myself as well as the community that I teach in, I want to do more of a part of creating more of a social structure and helping these young kids just belong more socially in their environments and help to create just a safer environment for them to be in. And so that's really what I discovered today, and I'm glad that I was here and able to kind of come to that realization.
I was on staff before joining Teach for America Corps, and I was always really amazed by how I worked in development, how some of my teammates were able to articulate Teach for America's theory of change and just relate it in different ways to different donors. I actually really want to come back on staff and either Teach for America or Teach for All. And something I've been thinking about a lot prior to this is just how to take the experiences I've now gained as a teacher and be able to relate them to someone else who may or may not have any exposure to this. And so this actually ties in beautifully with what I hope to do next year, because now I feel like I'm much better able to just explain my experiences. I now even have a better understanding of myself and what compelled me to join this movement in the first place and how to relate it to other people, especially if they have no exposure again to what this is actually all about and what it's like.
I think I mentioned I want to use it in my classroom. I am looking forward to being able to tell more powerful narratives and letting my students get to know me a little bit more. In addition, I'm involved in Connected for Health. It's an organization that's a partnership with Teach for America. I just can't wait to go tell Ariella about what I learned and maybe do a little training in that organization as to how we can, you know, be more powerful in the narratives that we tell and the stories that we tell about, you know, the health problems and issues that are in our classrooms.
I really enjoyed the weekend. When it first all started with the rock climbing, I got to meet some really amazing people. I went from mostly not really wanting to share my, you know, experiences with them to going through a shared experience and say, okay, I'm comfortable to do that. So that went into today, which I got to develop my personal story. And that was really effective.
Weekend, I think, you know, starting from the rock climbing, which has really helped to build like this sense of community among us, and then moving into like much deeper thought processes. I think this is something that every core member should have to do, be able to articulate like why we're in this movement and invest other people in our work. So I think it was just really developmentally, it was really critical for my growth in leadership, and I see myself definitely applying this and using this as in my next steps, you know, actually in my classroom, and then as I look towards the future for what I'm doing next year.
And something without wanting love bears heavy on my mind.